Tenancy rental laws govern all things rent-related, from evictions to the rights and responsibilities of landlords and tenants. It's important to understand these rental laws to make sure your tenancy goes smoothly. In this video, we'll give you an overview of what the state law says about lease agreements, required disclosures, security deposits, and evictions. We're eForms, the largest online database of fillable legal forms. Check out the link below to access a fillable lease agreement template. Let's first go over the basics. What is a lease agreement? A lease agreement is a rental contract between a landlord and a tenant. Depending on the type of agreement, whether it's a month-to-month lease, a standard agreement, or rent-to-own, both the landlord and tenant are bound to the specific terms regarding the length of the lease, termination, and more. Because a lease agreement is legally binding once it's signed, breaking the contract can result in hefty fines or even legal action. Next, let's take a look at the required disclosures. In Tennessee, there are 3 disclosures that the landlord is required to provide to the tenant as part of the lease agreement. Agent-landlord identification. The landlord or agent allowed onto the property on their behalf must be listed in the lease agreement. It must also provide an official address for legal notices. Lead-based paint disclosure. If the resident was built on or before 1978, the landlord must inform the tenant of potentially dangerous lead-based paint within the walls and ceilings. Showings. If the landlord wants to show the tenant's unit to prospective renters prior to the lease agreement being terminated, it must include a statement stating that the landlord reserves this right during the last 30 days of the lease. Now let's take a closer look at the security deposit laws. In Tennessee, there are no state laws that limit the amount that a landlord can charge for a security deposit. As for returning the security deposit back to the tenant, the landlord must send the funds within 60 days from the lease termination date. Finally, let's cover Tennessee's eviction laws. In Tennessee, a landlord may evict a tenant for the following reasons. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent, the landlord can issue a 14-day notice to quit. This means the tenant has 14 days to pay the owed amount in full or move out. Non-compliance. If the tenant breaks any portion of the lease other than late rent or damage to the property, the landlord can issue a 30-day notice to quit. Prostitution and illegal drug use. If the tenant engages in any of these acts on the property, the landlord can issue an immediate notice to quit. Illegal behavior. If the tenant engages in illegal acts on the property that are not related to drugs or prostitution, the landlord can issue a 3-day notice to quit. Termination. If the landlord wants to terminate a month-to-month lease for reasons other than non-payment of rent or non-compliance, they must provide 1 month's notice to the tenant. Want to learn more about Tennessee's rental laws? Visit the link in the video description for a comprehensive breakdown on all things related to lease agreements, evictions, and more.